Alright, I think I am rolling. What's good, everyone? What is good? Welcome, I guess I could say, back to an audio-only podcast, a Nerdcast. I guess it is just called Nerdcast. I was going to say Nerdcast Podcast, but I guess that kind of sounds a little bit reductive. What's going on, everybody? How are you guys doing? It is Monday, July 29th, 2025. And you know what? It was a bit of a day for me. This isn't a day that I would do my stream, so there was no stream today. And I'm just chilling at my house, kind of bored a little. And I was actually listening to Bill Burr's podcast. And it was reminding me about that time when I attempted to do my own solo vamping podcast. And it was a while ago. I decided, you know what, maybe I should try to get back into the swing of attempting to do that kind of a thing. I've never been really good at vamping. I've never really been good at solo speaking, especially off the cuff, I think. Maybe I should have prepared for this. See, that's the thing. I also don't know what I'm going to talk about, so it's really going to be kind of a stream of consciousness thing, I guess. I guess. Oh, man. It is... We are the dog days of summer for sure here in Texas. It's finally starting. It stopped raining a few weeks ago after those crazy ass floods, but now we're back in the throes of just humid, near 100-degree temperatures. So the slight break that my air conditioner got over the course of July, it's over. It's working overtime now. It's hauling, and I have to make sure that that I keep with the maintenance on that thing too. You know, being a homeowner, I recognize to a degree I am privileged. Not very many people in my general demographic get to be a homeowner, especially in this fucking day and age. Oh man, I mean, every day I'm seeing something new about the statistics of what it takes for, you know, millennials and Gen Z to actually afford a home, opposite of what the cost of living was like for boomers in the 70s. I see it all over, you know, and this is also kind of a bit of a pet peeve. I will admit this off the top. I was going to say I see it all over TikTok, and I do, but at the same time, I'm kind of past TikTok now. I'm kind of over it a little bit because it's so full of just the dumbest motherfuckers all the time. Every time I open that app, it's somebody saying something really fucking stupid, and then I go into the comments, and it's just a sea of people being like, wow, I didn't know that. That's messed up. Oh, man. And it's just like, really, guys? Really? You guys are just like buying this hook, line, and sinker? Hold on one second. I gotta clear my throat. I don't know. Talking all of a sudden got me all hacky. Okay, I think I'm back. All right, I am back. I unpaused it. Doing this in Audacity, so I got to get used to those controls. Also, why does my mic sound a little weird? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it just sounds weird to me. Or maybe I'm not close enough to it. I don't know. At any rate, yeah, every time I see something like that on TikTok, it just makes me super, super, super angry. So I think I'm just off of TikTok now. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. But, actually, let me see. I don't know. I don't think you guys can hear if I play something on TikTok over this. No, you don't hear it. Because I don't have... This isn't like my stream where I have desktop audio rerouted back through my thing so you can hear the desktop. Maybe I should have just recorded this on my... in my stream setup, in my Streamlabs, so I could play desktop audio. Didn't think about that. Didn't go to... I mean, this was literally me just clicking the record, opening up Audacity, clicking the record button. That's about as deep as I got into this, but... Yeah, let me see. I can't even remember the kind of shit that just made me upset when I saw it. But regardless of all of that, like, I have seen a lot of things, a lot of new reporting coming out about just how hard it is for people to afford things now. And it's not getting any better, and it's not going to get any better. Anybody that's holding out any hope that, like, I don't know. I don't think I know anyone that's actually dumb enough to think that, like, the tariffs or anything that this administration is trying to do is actually going to yield any kind of positive benefits. I don't think I know anybody that dumb, but anybody thinking that there's some kind of a rescue, some kind of a savior over the horizon, you're wrong too. You're wrong too. Yeah, so this guy right here was saying that, like, in 1970, the minimum wage was $1.40, which in 2024, which translate in, wait, what? Hold on a second. Is that what he's saying? Wait, no, he's, okay, I have to unmute it because no, wait, he has subtitles here. In 1970, the minimum wage was $1.40 an hour. That is $224 a month. However, the average apartment was only $108. So for 48% of your check, you could get an apartment. Fast forward to 2024, the federal minimum wage is $7.25, which is $1,160 a month. But the average apartment is $1,700 a month. So unlike in 1970, where it was just under half your paycheck, now it's well beyond half your paycheck on minimum wage. Now it's well beyond your full paycheck. So, yeah, and that's obviously minimum wage. But minimum wage controls wages in its vicinity too. If the minimum wage gets pushed up to $15 an hour, then people who are making $15 an hour right now will get raises of their own. They won't suddenly start making more than $15 an hour because, hey, guess what? Why am I making $15 an hour doing this job when a job, quote unquote, beneath my station is now also paying $15 an hour minimum wage? You know, now I expect to get paid a pay raise commiserate to that previously existing pay gap. So, you know, it really is like a rising tide, lift all boats sorts of situation there. And that kind of disparity, you know, it's not something that's going to get fixed very easily, and it's certainly not going to get fixed within the confines of our incredibly corrupt political system here. That's really the bummer, man, is just how extremely corrupt our body politic is, and that's the root cause of a lot of this shit. Is white collar crime is no longer a crime. White collar crime is all legalized. Bribes are legal. Any kind of in-dealing is illegal. Insider trading is legal for the most part. I mean, you can insider trade if you're ripping off of like normal people, but like if you do any kind of fraud that defrauds rich people, then yeah, they're gonna clap your ass for that. No defrauding rich people. That's still illegal, but you know, you could scam the shit out of poor people all you want, as evidenced by, you know, our own president doing a fucking crypto rug pull on people. It's hard to foster any kind of society in which, you know, the mass collection of tax revenue from the people will be equitably redistributed throughout society in a manner that benefits those same people. When everybody that controls the levers of that distribution of money are true scumbags and criminals. You know, once they touch that money, then they're going to do anything they can to deal it back to themselves or to their friends, to the people who pay them to be there, to deal it back to them. So that's the harsh reality of that, and that sucks. I hate thinking about the idea that, you know, there's literally no way out of this. I don't think there's really any peaceful way out of this, honestly. I want to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but what are you going to do? You got to tell a criminal, "Hey, criminal, I voted for you. I see you breaking into my window there. I'm going to cast a vote for you to not break into my window. You see that? I voted for you to leave. So now you need to get your little crowbar there and your little pistol, and you need to turn around and go home. We voted against you breaking into our house." Like, that's basically where we're at right now with respects to, like, the idea of fixing any of this with, like, democracy. I want to be proven wrong, but I haven't been given very many. I haven't seen a lot of signs that I'm wrong there. Immediately, this turned into like a political thing, and that really wasn't what I was going for. That really wasn't what I was trying to aim this impromptu podcast here towards, but that's just kind of how it went. There's just a lot of stuff that I find a lot of this stuff annoying. Actually, what I was looking into the other day is I want to get back into doing volunteer work. I used to do Meals on Wheels deliveries for seniors, and that was actually one of the coolest experiences that I've done here in Central Texas, because there's just something that feels good. And yeah, if you want to be one of those people where it's like, oh, well, you're doing it for selfish reasons because you're only doing it because it makes you feel good. Yeah, whatever. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. I don't care. If you're helping people, even if you're helping people for selfish reasons, then just help people. That's all I care about. And yeah, it did feel good. It felt good, to knock on someone's door and see how happy they were to see us delivering a hot meal to them. That's great. I can't remember where I heard it from. I wish I could remember where I heard it, but it just always brings to mind this quote of the nicest thing a person can do for someone is make a meal for them, is to make a hot meal for them. And I've always believed that to be true, but I wish I could remember the context of which I've heard that quote. Maybe I could search for it. Because I feel like there's not enough of that, and maybe there needs to be more. Maybe I don't know. Maybe restaurant culture has kind of changed the vibe on that. That's the funny thing about watching a show like The Bear. As much as I liked the first two seasons of The Bear, didn't really super like the third season all that much, and I got bored very early on the fourth season. But I liked the first two though. But there's this super hyper romanticization of some of the worst aspects of restaurateur culture. And I feel like that kind of misses the point of food and eating. One of my favorite shows of all time is a Netflix show called Samurai Gourmet. And the whole premise behind the show is that it's just this 60 some odd year old Japanese salaryman who retires. And now that he's retired, he has no idea what to do with himself. And he's just like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to walk around the neighborhood, go for some walks. And, just through muscle memory, he ends up walking to the train station that he'd go to every morning to get to work. And when he realizes, oh, I don't have to go there anymore, he doesn't know what to do. He sees a restaurant right by the station that he's always walked past, but he's never actually been to. So he's like, oh, you know what? Today seems like a good day to just check out this restaurant. And, he goes in, he sees it, and he's thinking he's going over in his mind, the decor of the place, the vibe, the menu, the people that were there, the people that were in there at the time. It's oh, these guys are probably on their lunch break. This is when I went and ate at a cafeteria, or this is not like the cafeteria food, or maybe he said it was like the cafeteria food at the business he worked at. And then, he orders something off of the menu. And there is a moment of, the show has its moments of food porn for sure. When they show the person in the kitchen cooking it, it's shot all beautifully and glistening and, all the right lighting and all that sort of stuff. And then when they deliver it to him and he's eating it, it has all of that too. But it's framed in a manner that's less about the food and more about the experience and how the food makes this person feel and how it kind of influences his, because he fantasizes about being a samurai. It's why I call it Samurai Gourmet. He fantasizes that he has this alter ego that's braver than him and can, can work his way through situations that he might be too shy or meek to work his way through and all of that. And, his interactions with all these food items and whatnot kind of influences some of the scenarios he imagines this samurai going through and all of that. And it's lighthearted and cute, and it's really well shot and well acted. But it exposes a relationship between people and food in a way that no other food show I've seen does. because so many of these shows like takes it way too fucking seriously. Like The Bear takes that shit way too seriously. I had a lot of friends who work in kitchens, and they were like, "I don't want to watch The Bear. Like, I heard it's good, but like a lot of that kind of gives me anxiety and etc." And I was like, "Yeah, I can understand that." Like this guy is just sitting there. Like I saw a meme too that kind of perfectly encapsulated it, where it was like it showed like Carmi like freaking out. It's like somebody came into my restaurant and ordered a sandwich, and now I have to make it. And it's like showing him freaking out and like chain smoking and shit. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of the silliness of that show and other shows like it, where it's like you guys are taking this food shit way, 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 way too seriously in the not right direction. I think there is a way that you could take it seriously if you actually respect what it means to just respect somebody making a hot meal for you. I do believe personally that's the nicest thing that you can do for another person, but also just how much enjoying a nice meal is. Like, it doesn't always have to be like a 3-star Michelin experience where you walk through a fucking, the giant laundry list of ingredients and how they're delicately balanced against one another to create a flavor palette unlike any other experience. Like, no, it doesn't have to be like that at all. It could just be a fucking. I mean, that was one of the, I guess, the central message of The Menu, that movie, The Menu, where spoiler alert, I guess, this dude has this crazy ass, murderous dining experience. But at the end, he has the most joy just making a cheeseburger. And why wouldn't you? Making a delicious cheeseburger is a pretty awesome experience. At any rate, who said that quote? I don't even know if I have the quote right. Yeah, I can't remember where that quote came from. I guess I'm not gonna find it by just googling it, but it is something that I do believe. It is one of the nicer things that you can do for someone. I don't even remember how I came. How did I get on the topic of food, Samurai Gourmet? Maybe I'm getting hungry a little bit. Oh man. Oh yes. And then I saw this on I'm just all over the place. Yeah, this is a stream of consciousness. This is a stream of consciousness podcast, so you're just gonna have to get used to that. But jumping off of the food jumping off of the food train and onto the train. I saw this post from Maryland Governor Wes Moore is in Japan right now, and he got to witness the maglev that they're working on. It's not open to public yet. It's a little bit behind schedule and over budget, but I mean, it's a fucking maglev. He got to see a test run of it go by him on this bridge, and it just whips by him at 311 miles per hour, and he's just like blown away by it. It looks fun. Like, everybody here is just fun, having a good time, laughing. And honestly, like, it's great. And you know how I feel about trains. If you've watched any of my streams before, you should know how I feel about trains. If not, if I do end up pushing this somewhere and you're listening to the first time, welcome, by the way. Thank you for listening at least this deep in 18 minutes. You must have absolutely nothing else going on for you, but just to let you in on a little bit on me, I do like trains. This has been a recent development. It's not a lifelong thing. I've never been like the train guy, but living in Texas, in the center of Texas, you, especially for as long as I've been here for 25 years at this point, you begin to develop, even though I used to be a big car guy, and I still like cars, and I still want a new car of some sort, you do get to develop a distaste, maybe even so much as a hatred, a bitter, brutal hatred for, if not cars specifically, then America's car culture in general. Always having to stick yourself into traffic for 2 hours a day just to get to work or get home, or especially for where I live, I'm kind of isolated. I started the podcast off talking about uh, how um, privileged, that's the word, it slipped my mind for a bit, talking about how privileged I was to be able to, own a home. And I am, but a part of that is because I live way, way, way out there. So, like, if I want to go to my nearest grocery store, that's like a 15 to 18-minute drive away. 18 to 20, really, depending on traffic. And then, I get there, shop for how long it takes, and then it's another 20 minutes back. So there is no quick trip to the grocery store for me. If I got to go there, I'm at least taking an hour out of my day. And I'm not used to that. Before I lived here, the grocery store was literally 5 minutes down the street. So I could make a run to the grocery store and be back at my house within 30 minutes if, traffic wasn't that bad. So it's definitely a huge change of pace. And it definitely, definitely helps influence my fuck America's car culture vibe. In addition to, driving to and from work, I'm, again, blessed and privileged to have the job that I have, especially having been unemployed for 4 months, which to me, that's an eternity to be unemployed. But at the same time, I recognize that I'm also surrounded by a lot of people that are like, I've been unemployed for 7 months, 8 months. I've been unemployed for a year. And I was really fearful that I was going to end up falling down that track. So again, super blessed to have employment. And I like the place I work at too. It's actually genuinely cool. But it is working in the office 5 days a week, which I knew when I went there. And I generally have never had a problem with being in the office. I don't mind that at all. But I definitely would enjoy it a lot more if I lived fucking closer to the place. Being where I am now, it's a hell of a lot more driving. So all this to say that when I went to Japan last year, I mean, I grew up in Japan when I was a kid, but that was Okinawa. And as far as I knew, there were no real mass transit on Okinawa outside of buses. But I went back for the first time in about 20 some odd years last June for my birthday, actually. I have a video of that on my YouTube. And we went to Tokyo and Kyoto and took the Shinkansen from Tokyo to Kyoto. But in both of those cities, there was incredible rapid transit that can take you pretty much anywhere you want to go to within those cities. And being able to do that, just being able to, and of course, obviously, once you get to your destination, you're going to be doing some walking, but everything that you're going to is relatively walking distance. It really, like, first of all, I lost like 6 pounds in about 2 weeks, and I wasn't even trying. Second of all, I'm so used to having a car and the independence that gives you. That's a very big benefit of having a car, and that's a very American thing. And I'm not besmirching that at all. There is definitely something to being able to just say, fuck this, I'm out. And you just jump in your car and drive off somewhere. Like, huge bonus, huge plus. And being dependent on transit, in America in particular, is concerning. It's not that much of a worry in Japan because everything's always on time. It's super, super ultra reliable. But you just have to get over the feeling that, I don't have my car on me. I don't have my car keys on me. I don't have my car with me. I can't just jump in a car and go somewhere. I guess I could with an Uber or something. Oh, Uber operates in Japan, but rideshare really isn't much of a thing. But they have taxis still, so, whatever, same thing. Once I got over that, though, I was like, man, I could see how life could be so much less stressful if I didn't have to rely on my car so much, because it isn't just the sitting in traffic for 2 hours a day or more, depending, which is stressful. It is taxing to you. It's tiring for sure. It isn't just the lack of exercise that comes with that, because, I used to walk a lot in my early 20s before I started getting an office job, really. I worked retail, so I'd be on my feet a lot, but I was only working like 20 hours a week or so. And whenever I wasn't working, I was going to school. And a lot of that was me walking very long distances because I didn't have a car at the time, walking long distances to the bus stop, walking around campus, et cetera, et cetera. And then, because I was just so used to it on my days off, when I was exploring new music, because I was that guy, I was the guy people went to find out what cool new band to listen to, et cetera. I would routinely download full albums off of LimeWire, burn them to a CD, put them in my portable CD player, and then just listen to the full album while I go for like an hour-long walk or something. That was just a part of my regular routine. I used to do a lot of that. And I don't do that anymore, primarily because, one, I struggle to have the time. Two, I don't live in an area where where I feel very comfortable, feel very safe going on an hour or so long walk. And three, like, again, it's just a chunk of time. It's time because I spend 2 hours of my day sitting in a car, and it's tiring. By the time I get home, I just don't have that juice, and I kind of missed that when I was in Japan walking everywhere. I kind of missed it. It also helped me sleep better. Like I'm a notorious insomniac, and I didn't really have that problem there because I was just walking so much. So that's kind of me going off on a tangent about, how I became a train person, right? Like once I got back to the States from Japan, I was sitting in that damn car again, just like, why don't we have better transit, especially in this state? If there's any state in the union that needs it, it's Texas. Like my sister and her kids live up in Fort Worth, and my parents go to, support their grandkids and all their sports and stuff, or look after them when my sister and her husband, need time away from the kids or whatever. They do that pretty frequently. And it sucks because like they have to drive up I-35 to do that. And I-35 is one of the most dangerous highways in the country. And I never feel comfortable with them just driving up there for 3 hours. It's a 3-hour drive. And then they have to drive back down for 3 hours, And it shouldn't be a thing. Like it's just north and south. North and south for 3 hours. Build a fucking high-speed rail that connects the Dallas-Fort Worth area to Austin so that, people, especially older people who want to go up to Dallas-Fort Worth to see their kids or go down from Dallas-Fort Worth to Austin, they don't have to sit in traffic. First of all, it will take a lot of that traffic off the roads, especially beneficial since that's the main thoroughfare for fucking 18-wheelers, and 18-wheelers cause a lot of problems, cause a lot of accidents. So the fewer cars around those 18-wheelers, the better. It's better economically to connect those cities. I mean, there's a reason why China, spent the last 15 years or so building one of the most incredible rail systems the world has ever seen, because it connected all of their major cities. And there's a huge economic boon, social boon, all sorts of things that can benefit from having your citizens connected in such a manner. Can you imagine living in, let's say you live in Austin, like me, but you get a job in Houston. Like right now, that's untenable. You can't really do that unless you work remote. But if you have to be on site, that's not a tenable thing. But if there was like a bullet train that can get you to Houston in like maybe a little under an hour, it'd probably be about an hour. That would be a game changer. Because again, you're on a train, you don't have to drive. It's not like you have to be constantly alert, aware, and awake the entire time you go from Austin to Houston. You just get on the train and you could send out emails if you want from your laptop, or you can take a nap or do whatever until you get to your destination. A lot of people sit in traffic for an hour to get to work as it is. If you got to work if you live in Round Rock and you work, downtown Austin, if you're in morning rush hour traffic, chances are you're in traffic for at least close to an hour. You could be on a train for that hour just chilling. Imagine if you're just some lonely dude that lives in like San Antonio and you match with somebody that's in Austin. Again, I'm using Austin a lot as a frame of reference, but that's just because that's the city I live in here. And I know what that drive is like from San Antonio to Austin. It's not the kind of drive that most people will be willing to make to go on a date. But if you had got on a Shinkansen and that transit was about that commute was about maybe a little less than an hour. It's San Antonio's closer to Austin than Houston is, so it'd be less than an hour. That's not that, especially if you don't have to like drive it yourself and you don't have to get stuck in traffic because you're on rails. That's not a bad commit. Why not do that? It just bums me out that we don't have anything like that. So I'm watching this video of Wes Moore in Tokyo, or I guess, is he in Tokyo? Yeah, he's in Tokyo, and he's watching this maglev train, and like I'm wondering, what is his takeaway from this? What's going to happen here? Is he going to be a champion for high speed rail in America? It makes sense along the East Coast because you've got a ton of economic incentive to connect all of those major cities up and down that coast. But I mean, it is a little bit of it's a little tough. Like it's easier to build high speed rail when you have a lot of flatlands and not a whole lot of difficult terrain in between the 2 points. Texas, West Texas in particular. It's a little bit harder once you have to deal with the coastlines and cliff sides and the Appalachia and all that sort of stuff. I don't know, but it's at least intriguing that there seems to be some interest, some political interest in this sort of thing. From the Baltimore Sun, Moore supports bringing Japan's high-speed maglev train to Maryland after years of delay. I don't know what this article is because, unfortunately, like every fucking thing in our shit fucking world right now, it's locked behind a fucking paywall. You can't do anything without some motherfucker with this goddamn handout being like, come on, give me a quarter, I just need a quarter, give me a quarter. I miss the fucking old internet, man. The old internet was just like, oh, hey, you want to know something? Here it is. Hey, you want to read an article? Here's our article. Read the article. Yeah, we're just going to do that for you. We're not going to lock information behind a fucking gate. It sucks. And I know there's always the argument, well, these people, they have to feed their kids too. They have to pay rent too. Rent's just as expensive for these guys writing the article. It's like, well, then why are there fucking ads all over the place then? Like you can't, that's another part about the internet that fucking sucks is like you need an ad blocker. Like, oh man, I'm so fucking terrified to even turn this fucking shit off on this page. God knows what it's got. Well, let me do that. Let me do that. Where is it at? I don't even. What is this? I don't even think I have the ad blocker even on right now. Yeah, I think I turned it off. So this doesn't even have it on here. Wait a second. What is this? I have no idea. I have all these weird extensions. Okay, I see what that did. At any rate, I guess I'm not going to figure out what Wes Moore's high speed take is because they gotta fucking pay the Baltimore Sun. It's the worst whenever there's a natural disaster and it's like, oh, I need to figure out what's going on here. Like, where are the floodplains? Which floodplains are flooding? Or do I need to evacuate? Or what path is this hurricane on? And you click on the article and it's like, $5, please. You want to save your life? $5, please. Wonder if I can see. Actually, let me do Wes Moore high speed rail. All of this is moot because we have a piece of shit administration with a motherfucking cunt as transport secretary. I think they canceled I don't know if they canceled or they're trying to cancel the high-speed rail in California. It was the Baltimore Banner. Governor Wes Moore kicks off Asia trade trip with maglev train ride. This is the future. The miles passed like seconds as the train rocketed through the Japanese countryside, whirring by the cherry blossoms. The roughly 27-mile ride, about the distance from Baltimore to Washington International Thurgood Marshall Airport. Thurgood Marshall wasn't. Wait, hold on. Thurgood Marshall was he the first black Supreme Court justice? I think Thurgood Marshall was the first. You hear a name like Thurgood, and it's more than likely not a pleasant thing. But I think this dude was the first. Yeah. He's the Supreme Court's first African American justice. Okay. No smoke. Well, maybe a little. I don't know. I have to. I think he's fine. Most people that serve on the Supreme Court are not. The Supreme Court are notorious demons, but I'm pretty positive that Thurgood Marshall is fine. But that's one of those you don't hear a Thurgood anymore. That's not a common name. Thurgood. See, that was my initial knee-jerk reaction. I knew who Thurgood Marshall was, but just seeing the name Thurgood was like, oh, that sounds sundowny. That's a sundowny name, right? I gotta watch my back around Thurgood, but no, Thurgood Marshall. Okay, that's fine. I think I was also I saw Thurgood Marshall and immediately thought Strom Thurmond. So I was like, wait, they named an airport after Strom Thurmond? Which they probably have somewhere. There's probably something named after that fucking guy. But at any rate, that's several asides from the initial aside. The roughly 27-mile ride, about the distance from Baltimore Washington International Thurgood Marshall Airport to Washington, took 9 minutes. 9 minutes. When the MC Maglev, it's all big. It's all one word. Skmaglev. But I'm guessing SC Maglev, reached 90 on the speedometer. Saturday morning's demonstration topped out at 311 miles per hour. Though railway officials assured everyone it can go even faster, it literally levitated like a vehicle out of Star Wars. Okay, so it hits the lev when it gets to 90. Wow, that's very Back to the Future. They should have used Back to the Future as a fucking reference here, not Star Wars. Maryland Governor Wes Moore needed one word to summarize the experience. Wow. The visit to the Maglev Prefecture Center, nestled in the mountains about 60 miles west of Tokyo, was the first stop on an international trade mission, Moore's first as a governor. The delegation of 24 other dignitaries, staff, and business leaders joined him. The trip, a week-long journey through Japan and South Korea, comes at a crucial moment, fresh off a legislative session that didn't entirely go his way. He arrived in Japan as shifting U.S. trade policies have sent stock market around the globe into turmoil. Moore has said Maryland's economy, stagnant by most measures, is in need of modernization and supercharging. You're not going to get that in a Trump world, unfortunately, or a Republican world, really. That's the thing. Like, we need to stop divorcing Donald Trump from the Republican Party. They're one and the same. They're all the same. Like, Trump's policies are literally just Republican policies. That's all they are. And it's been Republican policies from day one. Ever since he came down that escalator, he hasn't said anything that was been even remotely out of lockstep with what conventional Republican policies are. He's just a little bit more crass about it. It's the only difference. And I guess to some degree, maybe the trade war stuff is a little bit out of step. He's just really fucking dumb with it is the problem. Like, I think most Republicans are free trade people, or they have been historically free trade people. And a lot of, more progressive people, union type people tend to be more trade war, I guess, accepting. Not in the way that Trump is waging it, because he's a fucking idiot, doing across-the-board tariffs for industries we don't have any cover over, and not having any kind of manufacturing policy. We don't have a manufacturing policy to buttress all of this trade shit. Like, this idea that we're just going to slap tariffs on something and then we'll magically start to manufacture it makes zero sense at all. Like, you have to create the policies, to generate the manufacturing for the thing that you're going to put the tariff on. If we already manufacture the stuff, then you could put the tariffs on it to incentivize people buying the thing we already manufacture. If we don't manufacture it, then you have to get the manufacture going first so that when you put the tariff on the fucking thing, people have an alternative. If they don't have that alternative, all you're doing is just fucking people. You know, which is what's been happening. So, another aside. A superconducting magnetic levitating train with the world record speed just so happens to be both of those things. The ride itself feels effortless, with acceleration and braking so smooth it's hard to tell you're moving nearly 3 times as fast as the average Acela, Amtrak's fastest train. Wow, well, we don't need to talk about Amtrak. The maglev has been in development for decades. Yes, it is over scheduled and behind schedule and over budgeted. But that's okay because it will pay. That's the thing about investing in these big infrastructural projects is that even when things go a little off the rails, if you deliver on the promise, it will make up its money. You know, it's not like disingenuous people want to act like investing in these projects is just burning money that never comes back. Somehow they seem to understand, like, oh, well, when you invest in a business, then you're looking for a return on that investment. And that doesn't always happen overnight because then you have to do research and development, and then there's going to be some they'll talk you all through the process of what it takes for your money going into a business being returned to you in future dividends, even if the path to get there means wading through a sea of red, which is what a lot of tech companies have to do. They understand that perfectly fine, but they don't want to. They want to pretend like that doesn't exist when you're talking about building infrastructure in to cultivate an environment that creates both much more efficient transit, much more efficient upkeep of the infrastructure for that transit. So again, using Austin as an example, because I live here, every single fucking road in this city is under construction. You can't drive down any street in this road in this city without coming across a damn arrow telling you to merge because a lane is shut down or being detoured entirely because an entire road is fucking being fixed. Like, everything is under construction at all times over here, you know. But you could make these kinds of investments in your infrastructure that could drastically narrow and reduce the amount of infrastructure projects that you would need to keep to do the upkeep on that, which is pretty expensive. Road maintenance is an incredibly expensive part of running a major city. So the less of that shit you do, the better. Like, plus you get all sorts of other returns on those kinds of investments with, you know, increased traffic. Foot traffic, I mean, for rail riders if they're going into the city. You get more tourism. You know, people just get happier if they don't have to sit in traffic going to work all day. They get happier. They get more. They're spending less money because, you know, they don't have to spend as much money on gas. So that money is going to go towards other things. You know, it's not good that everybody's money is forced towards ExxonMobil. You know, you could get a lot, or Geico, both, you know, because also car insurance is pretty goddamn expensive. If you could peel some of that off and then let people spend that money in a manner that they could best enjoy their lives, then you would see, you know, a return on investment in that capacity too. You'd see local businesses start to flourish a little bit more. And they're also, and like Minneapolis opened a rail line that ended up making its money back like pretty fucking quickly too. Now that's a special city compared to like Austin because it's a little bit more population dense. So it's probably more better constructed for something like mass transit. But even still, I think the train that they built was it Minneapolis? Let me see. I think it was, I want to say Minneapolis to Chicago, but I may be wrong on that. Let me look this up real quick. Okay, I found it. Well, I found a little bit of it. I can't read the original article because, of course, it's hidden behind a paywall. But there's this site that at least gives a little bit of a blurb from the article stating that Star Tribune writes that Amtrak's new Borealis route between St. Paul and Chicago has surpassed expectations with over 18,500 passengers in its first month, aligning with the projected 232,000 annual riders. This route has even turned a rare profit for Amtrak, making $100,000. Departing daily from both cities, the 7.5-hour trip sees higher ridership westbound from Chicago. The service is expected to grow, especially with the fall influx of students. The number of riders in the first month clearly demonstrates the need for this route, said Minnesota DOT Commissioner Nancy Daubenberger. So yeah, Chicago to St. Paul. 7.5. It's not even high speed rail. That's not even high speed rail. That's like that's fucking slow ass fucking freight rail, which is humiliating that this is a new line and it's still running on fucking steam engine technology, basically. I mean, just imagine how much better it would be if you could get a high speed rail between St. Paul and Chicago. But at any rate, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we have an opportunity here at Austin, or here in Texas, rather, because Amtrak wanted to build a high-speed rail between Houston and Dallas. And, of course, the Trump administration, because they're all evil pedophiles, immediately tried to block it, tried to stop it. They pulled funding, but it seems like it may have found investors to continue onward. It seems like they announced that a while ago, but not really a whole lot of new developments. Actually, that's another problem with America. This is the problem with how corrupt this country is, and how that corruption creates a failed state that is completely incapable, deliberately, of delivering just basic things to its people. Let me see if I can pull this up, because I heard this on a KUT this morning. Let's see. We have our own little transit issue going on here in, I don't even know, going on here in Austin. Let me see if I can actually find. I want to find the actual report that I was listening to. Here it is. I got it. Moody's gave Austin, we have our own thing called Project Connect. This will catch you up with what's going on here with our fucking garbage. Moody's gave Austin Light Rail Project an A rating based on false assumptions. Project Connect was approved by voters in 2020, but is yet to break ground. Voted on in 2020 by the voters. 5 years later, it hasn't even broken ground. Back in 2020, voters in Austin approved a tax increase to pay for the multi-billion-dollar transit initiative. It was supposed to expand the city's bus service, fund anti-displacement efforts around town, and, most notably, build a 27-mile light rail that would have connected major parts of the city. The project is known as Project Connect, and as we near 5 years since voters approved it, the project hasn't even broken ground. Andrew Wheat is managing editor of Austin Free Press, which has recently obtained documents related to the bonds that have been funded the stalled project. He joined the Texas Standard to discuss the public information request revealed. Listen to the interview, read the transcript below. Okay, so this is just a transcript of that interview. Texas Standard. They haven't even broken ground on this project after 5 years. Why is it taking so long? Andrew Wheat. Well, there have been enormous setbacks, the most prominent of which is voters approved this in 2020. In 2023, the government corporation that oversees the project, called Austin Transit Partnership, we should definitely investigate these motherfuckers, came out and said that there were runaway inflation costs, and as a result, they were going to slash back the project from 27 miles to just 10. From 27 miles to 10 miles of additional track at no reduction in price. That went down rather sour with some Austin taxpayers who filed a lawsuit challenging it. Now, I don't understand what took them so long to allocate the money after that vote in 2020. Why were they not earmarked 2020 prices for what they knew they were going to be building out? Like, Yeah, inflation happened. I get that. I understand that. But if you know you've got this project, you buy those materials right away. Or at least you try to earmark the cost of those materials so that they don't fluctuate with inflation once inflation hits. Like the fact that even, and we're talking about 2023. In 2023, they said that runaway inflation was an issue. Well, what the fuck happened between 2020 and 2023? You're still talking about 3 years where no ground was broken. Like, there is some crazy mismanagement going on here, and I don't understand. Like, this is just a part of failed state governance, too. And you could call it whatever you want to call it, abundance agenda, if you subscribe to that sort of thing. But all across various avenues of governance, you see this sort of thing, where there are all sorts of weird artificial, caltrops thrown on a path that prevents anything that might be beneficial towards people, from being manifest. You don't see this sort of shit happening if it's like, oh, we're going to give Blackstone $2 billion to develop the domain part 4 or whatever, where there's going to be like 16 retail stores, none of whom they all get tax incentives too. Like all these places get tax breaks, so that we could quote unquote incentivize them to open their stores here. Those things go off without a hitch. You'll see those things pop up left and right. But we build a transit a transit system so that we can help people get around the city easier. Oh, all of a sudden, no, it's 3 years and we can't find the pennies. We can't break the ground. It's just high bullshit. There's been a number of legal challenges from the Austin taxpayers, from the Attorney General of the state, Ken Paxton, who's a fucking pedophile criminal himself. He should definitely be behind fucking bars. And a couple of failed efforts to derail the project to the Texas legislator, scumbags all, but those did not pass. Question. You mentioned that Ken Paxton weighed in. What are his objections to the project? Oh, I can tell you that much. He's a piece of shit. He initially came out several years ago with a non-binding legal opinion that said the funding structure for this project violated Texas tax code and the Texas Constitution. He had one other zinger. He said that it would be illegal for the city of Austin to approve this transfer of property tax funds sort of as a one and done at the beginning for the project for the $7 billion tag. He said instead that every year the city council for the decade to come would have to make a separate appropriation annually for the project, which gives things like bond markets conniption fits. See, that's the problem. You just tell him to go fuck himself. And be like, no, we're just going to do this right up front. Oh, you said we can't do? Oh, we already did it. We already did it up front. Sorry, guy. We already did it. Come back next time. Like, you're going to have to stop listening to these fucking people. Oh, but he's the Attorney General. You have to. So what? Fuck him. Let him take you to court. Tie him up in court if you want. Do it. Just do the fucking thing. Like, just start doing the... What are you looking at me like that for, lady? My cat just walked into my door. She's staring at me like, you're ranting, Dad. Dad, you're ranting? Yeah, I am ranting. What, do you want to come rant with me? No? Okay, well, I'm going to continue. Why is that important? Why does it matter what the bond market has to say about this project? Well, there's two major funding sources envisioned for this project. One is the taxes that we approved in 2020 over a series of years. The other the project is hoping or had hoped to get as much as half of the price from the federal government, which is looking considerably more difficult under the Trump administration. Again, pedophile scumbags. But for the bonds, the idea with this bond is we've approved all of this funding that's got to come in over the next decades. With a bond, we can get issued debt and get a big chunk of that money up front so we can start building. Yeah, okay, so that's what I said. That's what I said needed to happen. So the question, why won't they do that? Answer, well, there's been a lot of back and forth, he said, she said, about this troubled project, so we decided in March that we wanted to get an impartial view. What does the bond market think of this project? Do they think it's highly risky? Jesus Christ. What's going on from their perspective? And we put in a formal public information request with the Austin Transit Partnership. They wrote back and said, yes, we do have a bond report that Moody's prepared in January 2024, but we don't think we have to share it with the public under an exception to the public discourse that governs issues subject to litigation. So as it turns out, the referee for these cases is one and the same Attorney General, Ken Paxton. And after looking at it, he came out in June and said that they had to fork it over to the Austin Free Press. So we got a copy of Moody's tentative credit rating for the Project Connect, and it had two notable features. The first was that Moody gave any debt issued for Project Connect stellar straight A grades. Yes, that was good news. The bad news was it said that it was based on that it based that rating on two assumptions that were false when Moody wrote the report in January 2024 and are false today. Those assumptions were that the lawsuits against the rail project have been dismissed. They have not. And that Ken Paxton had validated the Transit Partnership's authority to issue these bonds. That certainly is not the case. In fact, Ken Paxton has appealed the case to the Texas Supreme Court on this very issue. Ken Paxton had lost the issue in an intermediate court decision last fall, but the Supreme Court, of course, didn't have to take the case up at all. They could have let the lower court decision stand. Instead, they said they wanted to have full arguments on the case. A decision in that case could be coming this fall. Again, Ken Paxton is a fucking scumbag. Just a true evil, diabolical fucking villain who should be dead in a prison somewhere. How this guy is even still allowed to hold office is beyond my fucking ability to comprehend. Could the Texas Supreme Court essentially greenlight Project Connect with their decision? Could it have that kind of impact? I think basically it could. I mean, it could well be the court's decision on this narrow issue of whether the Austin Transit Partnership has the authority to issue bonds. And if it gave green light to that, that would certainly be some wind in the sails of the rail project. There would still be other issues, I think, that could be litigated, but that would be a huge assist. On the other hand, if they said it has no authority to issue bond, that could potentially derail the project. So 5 years after voters approve this, it hasn't broken ground. It is stuck in the mud because of Ken goddamn Paxton and all of this bullshit. Like, I ended up turning this whole thing into just talking about rail. How did that happen? I'm at about an hour of this. I don't even know if this is interesting. I don't even know if I'm gonna. Maybe I'll upload it. I don't know. I just wanted to give. It's pretty early in the morning now. I just wanted to give vamping into the mic a shot. Somehow it ended up me yelling about rail again, but oh god, it's so fucking infuriating. It's so infuriating. And honestly, like voters I think the city of Austin, I think the voters, everybody should sue Ken Paxton because he's wasting our tax money. The city voted to do this, and he's unilaterally derailed it for 5 years and is forcing the project to not only get scaled back, but potentially be canceled. Why? Who voted for Ken Paxton to cancel this thing? Fuck that dude. Everybody should sue this fucking guy. Texas is a mess. This entire country is a mess, but Texas in particular. And of course, they're talking about redistricting because, again, criminal pedophile scumbags. They do what criminal pedophile scumbags do, and they're going to try to usurp the will of the people by creating these insane districts in which only their cultists have an outsized weight in our districting. Again, I don't know how you vote your way out of this. I don't know how you vote your way out of this. Hey, you burglar! I see you sneaking in through the back door. I saw you put that tape on the window and then elbow it to crack it, but the cracked glass didn't fall on the ground because it stuck to the tape, and then you peeled the tape back and you reached your hand in the hole and unlocked it, and now you're creeping in with a flashlight in one hand and a knife in the other. No. I'm voting for you to turn around and go home. Yeah, there's 3 of us in here, me, my wife, and my dog, and we all vote for you to go home, so now you have to go home. You gotta turn around and go home, burglar. Don't you wave that knife at me. I also vote for you to put that knife down. That's basically what we're doing in the face of these fucking freaks. Oh, man. I ended up on one. I don't know how that happened. It happened because I turned on the mic without a plan. Maybe maybe next time, if I do this another time, I'll come up with some kind of an outline maybe and be like, oh, okay, I'm going to talk about this, this, and this. I mean, there's plenty of stuff to talk about. It's all enraging. It's all maddening. There's also the this crazy mass censorship campaign that's happening, stripping a lot of games off of Steam. Even broader than that, there's this campaign to it's always under the guise of quote unquote protecting kids. Nobody in any of these governments give a flying fuck about kids. Are you kidding me? You know, if they're not fucking sitting there gleefully watching children getting mowed down by mass shooters in schools and doing absolutely nothing about it, then they're fucking taking kids to Epstein Island and banging them. Like, if it's not one thing, it's the other. And if they're not doing those things, then they're protecting the dudes that take kids to Epstein Island and bang them. They're running defense for those guys. Like, these people do not give a fuck about kids, never have, and they never will. And yet they always use that as their pretext for like these crazy mass surveillance or mass censorship campaigns. Now there's one coming out of Europe, but you know, it's also percolating here in America, of course in Texas too, where they want people to like give you your ID in order to purchase in order to do anything online, because they need to make sure that kids are safe. So go ahead, give us your government issued ID and your facial scans and all that kind of shit. You know, I actually have a solution for this one too, because I know that there are people out there that'll be like, oh, but you know, there's a lot of porn on the internet, or there's a lot of violent games on Steam or whatever. We have to. Don't you agree that, you know, in this high tech world that we live in, we should have a better mechanism with which we can protect our kids? And yeah, I have an idea. Basically, I think what we should do is we should use a bank account. We should have a 13 to 17 bank account, type of bank account for kids, and then we can have our 18 plus bank account. And there needs to be some globally recognized standard for how those bank accounts, like the you know, hexadecimal or octadecimal hash that those bank accounts operate under. There needs to be some standard, like, oh, if it's under 18, then the first four digits have to be blah, 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 whatever the case may be. And then you use that, and you just connect that, because then what happens is, instead of feeding your fucking ID, your government ID, to God knows what litany of data brokers that might actually exist out there, or just shittily put together apps. Look at what happened to that T app. That T app dropped on the App Store, this app that was all about letting women be basically, you know, quote unquote, spill the tea about all the shitty dudes they've dated, you know, so they could, you know, basically, you know, gossip, but, you know, also kind of protect one another from any seedy dude out there that's like, oh, this guy, you know, be careful about this guy, whatever the case may be. I don't really give a shit about the app. But the app, I guess, must have been vibe coded, because, you know, vibe coded with AI, because apparently, you know, even though the UI says, don't worry, we delete this as soon as we verify your gender, like, apparently they don't. Apparently they just put all of that information, they put all of those the photographs of IDs and shit onto like a publicly available storage that kept all of the metadata from those photos, that allows people to figure out, you know, not only access the photos of people's IDs, you know, in and of itself, but also access the metadata of the photos of those people's IDs, so they could track where they are, or at least track where they were when they took that picture, which is insane, like absolutely insane. I don't understand how they even fucking managed to build an app capable enough to get approved for the App Store to begin with a complete and total absence of security like that. But shit, man, I even forget my train of thought going down. Oh yeah. So instead of using like, every company out there is going to build their own version of the T app, which takes a picture of your driver's license, and then you have to hope to God that hope to God it doesn't fall into nefarious hands, even though it's almost destined to be sold to data brokers and immediately fall into someone's nefarious hands. What you do is you go down to a bank. You get to federally mandate that all banks have to allow this. You take your kid or whatever down to a bank, open them up a bank account. And the floor for opening a bank account has to be, pretty much next to nothing. Like, you can open it up for $1 if you want. The whole idea is that you get a person there, who they can verify that this kid exists. This kid exists. He's real. He has the sanction of a guardian of some sort, a parent or a guardian. They create this account. They give this kid their card, and then whenever the kid wants to do anything online, hey kid, hey, you know what? This game is rated M for sex and violence. Enter your number here. The kid enters their number, and it's like, sorry, this is a under 18 account. You can't watch it. Or even if they want to buy it, because it's a bank account, so maybe the kid fucking puts, maybe they work a summer job and put a bunch of money in it. They want to buy it. If it's age appropriate, they could put their bank account in, get verified, and then use the same account to buy the game. But either way, the whole point is that the age verification then isn't incumbent upon the fucking individual seller. Like, it isn't incumbent upon the retailer then, nor is it incumbent upon like the social media company or whatever it might be. It then is because then once we standardize this, it becomes incumbent upon, the banking system, which already has the infrastructure in place to do this, because they do it all the time, right? And we just make something akin to a global standard around it. And then you could do that. I would be okay with a situation like that. I would be okay with, having age validation go that route. Rather than, every individual website, build your own version of, take a picture of your ID and show it to me. Which, also feel like that could be game too, but that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. Like, our webcam scanners, photo scanners, good at picking up fake IDs. Fake IDs can look pretty real nowadays, so I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna call it. That's gonna be it for tonight, y'all. Ranted myself crazy. I think I'm gonna go get myself. I got one of these microwavable HEB. Get my throat's all dried out. HEB sells a microwavable bowl of pho. It's shockingly enough, it's actually pretty good. So I'm gonna go warm up one of those. Call it a night. Take it easy, everybody.